Shoulder. What the hell is that?
This next clip was shared on YouTube by Casey Sanders, and it documents one of the most unsettling encounters you could imagine having alone in the woods. It was October 2nd, early in the bow hunting season. Casey had arrived at his hunting stand like he had countless times before, expecting nothing more than a quiet morning in the woods. But before he could even settle in, something completely unexpected happened. From somewhere below him, he heard a man yelling. At first, it didn't make sense. This was private land, remote, quiet. And then he looked down into the creek. Standing there was a man holding a walking stick, completely naked. No clothes, no gear, no supplies. Just standing in the water, clearly exhausted and disoriented. Casey immediately began filming, not out of curiosity, but caution. He was alone, armed for hunting, and suddenly face to face with a stranger who shouldn't have been there at all. His initial reaction was firm and guarded, and understandably so. From his perspective, this was an unknown man, on his property, deep in the woods, behaving unpredictably.
Talking about Christian here, you know this is a hunter, and I'm a little confused. This is my land. I'm here with weapons, and somebody standing in my creek naked. I mean, I'm not gonna shoot you, but you're... What? Are you alone? If I see somebody else, this will not be good. What? Explain to me what happened.
As they spoke, the man began explaining what he believed had happened to him. He claimed that days earlier, he had attended Tomorrow World, a large electronic music festival. According to him, after the event, he was beaten by a group of people, stripped of all his belongings, and abandoned in the woods. He said he had no memory of how far he'd traveled afterward, only that he eventually found water and followed the creek, surviving for days with nothing. What made the situation even more unsettling was his mental state.
Show? What kind of show? Do you know what it was called? You don't know what it was called? Huh? Where are your clothes? Where? You don't know where your clothes are?
He struggled to answer basic questions. He couldn't clearly explain where he was. He couldn't recall the name of the festival at first. He knew his address existed, but couldn't say it out loud. At times, it was unclear whether he was recounting real events or mixing them with confusion and exhaustion.
Nobody's with you. I mean, you got to look at it from my standpoint. Listen, you know you're not far from... You know... Did you went to Tomorrow World, I'm guessing? What? Am I from? Okay, you're not far from the original place. Do you know where it's at in relation to where you live? Where do you live? No, better than that. No, what county? What's your address?
I know my address.
What is it?
Casey stayed alert, but didn't walk away. Instead, he brought the man food. He kept him calm.
Hang on a minute, man. Hang on a minute. I got something to eat for you. Just don't do nothing stupid right now. Holy crap.
And over the next hour, which wasn't shown in the clip, he slowly helped guide him out of the woods and toward a nearby road. Eventually, Casey was able to contact someone who knew the man and could come get him. Later, Casey addressed criticism he received online for sounding confrontational at the start. He explained that viewers didn't see what came afterward, the time spent making sure the man was safe. He also pointed out the reality of the situation. There's no instruction manual for finding a naked, disoriented stranger in your creek while you're alone and armed in the woods. He didn't call the police. He didn't abandon the man. And despite the fear and confusion of the moment, he likely saved his life. It shows that the wilderness doesn't just hide animals or the unknown. Sometimes it hides people who are lost, broken, and barely holding on. And sometimes, the most frightening encounters aren't supernatural at all. They're human beings who have wandered far beyond where they were ever meant to be. And that takes us to the YouTube channel named I Enjoy Collard Greens, which is known for capturing loud, impulsive moments that feel unplanned and unfiltered. Most of their videos revolve around friends chasing freedom, noise, and humor wherever the night takes them. But on March 13th, 2010, during what was supposed to be a casual camping trip near a river they referred to as Amicalola, that carefree energy slowly unraveled into something far more unsettling. The trip began on the road, with the group piling into a vehicle, scraping together loose change for gas and beer, laughing at their own lack of planning as they headed toward the woods with no real destination in mind. Just the intention to camp somewhere, anywhere, for the night.
We're gonna head on up there to that Amicalola. They call it the Jugulbla River in Navajo, but there's no Navajos around here, and the Cherokees, they call it the Amicalola. So that's kind of the name that we go with around here in these parts. Yep. Stick shift. So I guess we're gonna go stop. We're gonna go our poor ass, we got some change. We're gonna go buy some beer, a little bit of gas, cancer sticker 10, and I don't know, we'll see you later.
As the night went on, the mood shifted slightly. Their biggest concern wasn't weather or wildlife. It was where they could actually stop without drawing attention. They debated the risk of camping somewhere unofficial, weighing the possibility of being asked to leave against the far more serious consequences of trespassing in the wrong place. At the time, it felt like a harmless gamble.
Well, we just got done paying with change, and you went to high school with that girl.
Yeah, I was like,
What?
I know you.
Yeah.
She was like, that's because we went to school together. And I was like, oh.
She'd be like, so how's college? You get a degree in small service station economics?
She hooked us up with a can of Grizzly for free.
Yeah?
She did.
Yeah, she did.
The fat one? Behind the
No,
right?
that same old head, like crackhead
Yeah?
that was in there. That's 26. She's in there. I think
Is
she
it?
just does a bunch of and hangs out.
Well, that's normal. In Cumming, Georgia.
So we got plenty of gas.
I'll go.
They made a final stop at a small roadside station, paying for beer and gas with handfuls of loose change. The moment was loud, chaotic, and filled with joking, the kind of interaction that only happens late at night in small towns, where familiarity and recklessness blur together. It felt like nothing more than another memory in the making.
So what are we gonna do?
Who we could holler at.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't know what we're gonna do.
Dude, I'm about to drive around here and find some fucking where we can go. Where it doesn't have any fucking posted signs, where it's just off the beaten path. And
Oh, there is nowhere around here like that.
I just passed probably 12 different little cutaways on the way up here.
I mean, I'd rather get in trouble for camping somewhere not allowed to than camping somewhere not allowed to and trespassing. You get shot for trespassing.
Eventually, they chose a trail that led off into the woods. It wasn't marked as a campsite, but it was remote enough to feel hidden. After a short hike, they found a clearing that seemed isolated, far from roads, far from people. Or so they believed.
It's like 2 in the morning.
And
We
pockets,
just found a campsite.
everything that was in my pockets gone. I just went like this. And then I scooted like this, and then I didn't have my balance, and I just went.
By the time they reached the spot, it was already very late. The forest was pitch black, swallowing their flashlights beyond a few feet. As they set up camp, their laughter echoed loudly through the trees, bouncing back in a way that felt unfamiliar. The jokes continued, but the stillness around them made it clear just how far their voices carried into the night.
Can you join me in the ceremony?
This right here, my friend.
What? That's right. It's so light.
Last
Right.
beer of the night.
Last beer tonight.
Last beer of the night.
Last
ladies.
beer tonight.
Here you go.
This-
Mine's already cracked. I've already taken sips out of it.
Guys, to a night filled with change.
Filled with unexpected adventures.
Filled with last minute decisions and not many regrets.
And last second pleasures.
Yeah.
They cracked what they called their last beer of the night, raising a toast to loose change, impulsive decisions, and unplanned adventure. But the environment around them felt increasingly quiet, not peaceful, but alert. The kind of silence that feels less like absence and more like anticipation.
Rabbits. They follow me everywhere I go. They are manita. Oh, please shit. That just freaked me out.
just freaked my ass.
You see that dude? It's about to- Hey.
Their sense of isolation gave them confidence, but it didn't last long. In the distance, something caught their attention. The laughter stopped mid-sentence, replaced by uncertainty as they tried to understand what they were seeing.
I enjoyed the sound. What? You serious? A little bit. An engine. Like a car pulling up or something. Maybe? I would see light, yeah. Ain't no way up past cars. Do cops get sneaky? Yeah. Like that's a fucking... Dude.
Without warning, a violent sound tore through the darkness, abrupt, aggressive, and unmistakably close. The noise shattered the moment, cutting the video off almost immediately. There was no time to react, no explanation offered, only the echo of what sounded like chaos erupting just beyond their line of sight. When the video was shared, no follow-up information was ever given. No update, no clarification. All that remains is speculation. To some, the sound resembles gunshots mixed with a dog barking. Others believe it could have been wildlife, or a warning. And some wonder whether they unknowingly pitched their camp on private property and startled someone who didn't take kindly to trespassers. Whatever the truth is, the ending serves as a stark reminder. When you step into the wild, you're entering a space that doesn't belong to you, and sometimes it makes that very clear. Now, an abandoned cabin deep in the woods is a familiar setting, not just in horror films, but in real-life urban legends and cautionary tales. It's the kind of place most people instinctively avoid. So when a group of French Canadians decided not only to investigate one of these cabins, but to set up camp directly outside its front door, the outcome felt almost inevitable.
Ouais. Fait que ce fut c'est une super de belle soirée. Qu'est-ce que vous en pensez, les amis?
Moi, je pense que le feu, il a réussi en esti, hein? Qu'est-ce que t'en penses? Il a réussi en tabarouette.
Un esti de beau feu.
Hey, t'avais-tu entendu ça?
Quoi?
Check, check.
Ah! Frank! Pogne la flashlight! Vite, pogne la flashlight! Fuck, c'était quoi? C'est où? C'est parti là-haut. Hein? Quelque chose là! Quelque chose là!
Oh shit!
Il est où?
Hey, c'est pas drôle, c'est quoi? Laisse aller, hein?
C'est où? Dans l'eau.
While filming the cabin, the group notices something strange. From inside the doorway, a shape appears, just briefly, as if something is peeking out at them. When they approach to investigate, the doorway is empty. Nothing inside. No movement. But moments later, the same figure is seen again, this time outside the cabin, close enough to confirm it wasn't a trick of lighting. They move toward it instinctively, adrenaline taking over. But once again, it disappears. No sound, no clear direction, just gone. What followed was confusion and debate. Was this nothing more than a staged moment? A hoax created by bored campers looking for attention? Or did they genuinely encounter something they couldn't explain? The footage never provides a clear answer. And maybe that's what makes it unsettling, because whatever they saw didn't behave like a person, and it didn't behave like an animal either. So what do you think it was? A prank pushed too far? Or something that never wanted to be seen in the first place? Let me know your thoughts. Either way, whatever they encountered faded into uncertainty. The next one, however, unfolded in full daylight, where the danger couldn't hide. Nick and Ted, from the YouTube channel The Hunting Public, were deep into a bow hunting trip in the mountains when the final morning began like any other. With daylight on their side, they planned to spend the remaining hours scouting the area, and if the opportunity presented itself, taking one last chance at a successful hunt. As the morning wore on, however, nothing moved. No signs. No shots, no luck. By midday, the trip already felt like it was winding down. But then, without warning, everything changed. Viewer discretion is advised.
Alright, so me and Dad are set up. We ended up getting almost a mile and a half back in here. We're walking this ridge top like we were talking about. It ended up being 3 super fresh scrapes. So we jumped up in a tree. Pretty dang high up in a tree. Yeah, real high. And we're actually like directly above one of the scrapes. But it's super tight in here. I mean, any shot's gonna be close at all. I mean, 20 and in, 25 and in maybe. But we feel good about it. So, best sign we found all week. Last 2 hours of the trip. So we're giving her all right now.
quiet of the forest was shattered by a sound that didn't belong there. A scream echoed through the trees, raw, panicked, and unmistakably human. It cut through the woods with a clarity that made it impossible to ignore. Moments later, a single gunshot rang out, sharp and final, reverberating across the landscape. Nick and Ted stopped immediately, exchanging looks of disbelief. Their first instinct was to rationalize it. Maybe another group of hunters, maybe someone firing at game. But the scream lingered in their minds. It wasn't excitement, it wasn't celebration. Something about it felt deeply wrong.
I mean, there ain't nothing out here. I keep getting chills all down my back.
Yeah. Somebody is screaming at the absolute top of their lungs over there.
Very not good obscenities to someone else. Right before that last gunshot, it sounded like a truck revving up or something, like in gravel, throwing gravel or something.
Yeah.
And then that gunshot was like, that one sounded like a rifle. That last one, the other one sounded like a handgun. That last one, like,
You could make out a few things they were saying. And it wasn't good.
things we won't repeat on here. But it was like blood-curdling screaming. I've never witnessed anybody screaming like that.
Yeah.
Something not good's going on. Imagine if we would have ended up warping them on it, how close we would be to that.
We might have been able to see it. That's terrifying.
That is wicked.
Well, hopefully nobody got shot, but sure sounded like somebody did.
Sounds like somebody might have got killed over there. Your vehicle.
Yeah. Still screaming.
Sounds like somebody crying. He's saying somebody else.
What are they saying? Dude, I'm shaking.
The woods seemed to close in after that. The air felt heavier, tense in a way daylight normally dispels. Then more gunshots followed, separated by long, uncomfortable pauses. Each crack echoed farther than the last, deliberate and unnerving. And then, just as suddenly as it began, everything stopped. No more shots, no more screams, only silence. That silence was worse than the noise, leaving them to wonder what had just ended, and whether it had ended badly. This wasn't happening under cover of darkness. It was midday, full daylight, somewhere uncomfortably close.
Nick's looking up this house, the nearest house over there, so we can call somebody whenever we get out of here. We ain't got any service in here, so can't call the police and tell them to go over there and see what the heck's going on, but sound like something off a dang horror movie over there. Pretty scary. Hoping nobody's getting killed or hurt over there.
That's what it sounds like. when somebody says that they heard somebody screaming bloody murder, that's what that sounds like.
Yeah.
That's the most blood-curdling,
They're still yelling.
horrific screaming I've ever heard.
Shaken and no longer focused on hunting, Nick and Ted made the decision to leave. Before doing so, they contacted authorities and reported exactly what they had heard, giving as much detail as they could before exiting the woods.
Yes. I've heard some stuff that I feel needs to be reported to the police department.
Okay.
I was hunting, me and a buddy were hunting, and at about 6:45, we heard gunshots, which is not uncommon, but then for 30 minutes straight or so, there was lots of screaming and just people, obscenities, and it sounded like something really bad was going on over there, and there was 20 or more gunshots ended up happening. And then I could hear vehicles taking off and coming to a halt, and we didn't know what to do, and we had no service, so we're trying to report and see if anything had been reported about there. I have pins dropped on a map about how far we were from where we think this was occurring. My name is Nicholas Andrews.
Later, they learned that nothing was ever found. No injured hunters, no emergency calls, no reports that matched what they had witnessed, no explanation. It was as if the incident had never happened at all. In a strange way, they were lucky. Whatever unfolded out there was close enough to be heard clearly, yet far enough away to leave them untouched. The experience served as a sobering reminder of how quickly the woods can shift from calm to dangerous, and how important it is to stay aware, prepared, and connected when you venture into remote places. So what really happened that day? Were those screams a genuine plea for help? Were the gunshots aimed at game, or at someone else entirely? Without answers, the forest keeps its secret, and sometimes, even in broad daylight, that's the most unsettling part of all. And that takes us to this next clip. It's a short one, uploaded by TikTok user Road31990, an Italian traveler known for documenting his solo cycling journeys through some of the most remote and visually striking landscapes in the world. His content is usually calm, reflective, and focused on the beauty of isolation. But this particular video stands out for a very different reason. Take a look. Very little context was shared alongside the clip, but in this case, the footage almost speaks for itself. What we do know is that he was traveling alone, camping overnight in the middle of a vast desert surrounded by large sand dunes, far from towns, roads, or any visible signs of civilization. Sometime around 3 o'clock in the morning, he was suddenly jolted awake by sounds coming from just outside his tent. Instead of calling out or stepping outside, he did the one thing that felt safest in the moment. He reached for his phone and began recording. Whoever, or whatever, is out there is moving deliberately, stranding just beyond the thin fabric separating him from the darkness outside. There's no voice, no explanation, just the unsettling awareness that he is no longer alone. No follow-up was ever posted. No clarification, no explanation of what caused the disturbance or how the situation ended. All we know is that he later shared the clip online, which at least suggests he made it out without serious harm. Still, the lack of closure leaves the moment hanging, unresolved. Whether it was another traveler, someone with bad intentions, or simply an encounter he chose not to explain, the video serves as a quiet reminder. Even in places that feel completely empty, isolation doesn't always mean safety. No matter how remote the landscape, there's always the possibility that someone else is closer than you think. Watching, waiting, just beyond the edge of the light. Now that encounter happened in total isolation, miles from anyone else. But what happens next unfolds somewhere far more familiar, and that makes it maybe even more disturbing. These clips were shared by TikTok user Rose Honey Morgan. She had taken her dogs and her baby out for what she expected to be a calm, peaceful walk through the woods. Nothing adventurous, just fresh air, quiet surroundings, and a short break from daily routine. But that calm didn't last long. As she walks deeper along the trail, something ahead catches her attention.
I look rough today. Another thing that really pisses me off about my husband is... Hang on. Are you seeing this? Fire, fine. You know, fine, whatever. That's not fine. Oh my fucking god. My actual...
When she turns the camera, several crude stick figures can be seen arranged near a cluster of burned trees. They aren't scattered randomly. They're positioned deliberately, upright, balanced, almost watching the path. The sight immediately makes her uneasy. According to her, it didn't feel like something kids had thrown together as a joke. There was no playfulness to it. No signs of a campsite. No trail markers. Just figures standing silently among charred wood. And that feeling, that something was wrong, sets in quickly. She doesn't linger long. But the discomfort follows her. And not long after, things got even worse.
I think the dogs can hear something. Am I overreacting? Or is that actually quite alarming?
The video ends here, but that wasn't the end of the encounter. Almost immediately, Morgan shared a follow-up clip.
Oh my actual god.
In this second video, her dogs suddenly become alert, focused on something off camera. Their posture changes, ears up, bodies tense. And then, if you look closely through the bushes, a person can be seen briefly stepping into view before disappearing again. The clip cuts off before anything else is shown. No explanation is given. No confrontation is shown. And no update follows explaining what happened next. Naturally, the comment section flooded with theories. Some viewers connected the stick figures to ritualistic symbolism, suggesting the area may have been used for occult practices. Others believed the person seen in the bushes could be connected to the figures themselves. Some offered more grounded explanations: survival markers, makeshift art, or someone living off-grid who didn't want to be seen. Whatever the explanation, it's easy to understand why the situation felt threatening, especially with a baby involved. Being alone in the woods is one thing. Being alone with a child, strange symbols, alert animals, and an unknown person nearby is something else entirely. Morgan never posted any follow-up explaining what happened after the second clip. But she did continue sharing content afterward, which suggests she and her child made it out safely. Still, the footage leaves behind unanswered questions. Who made those figures? Why were they there? And who was watching from the bushes? So what do you think this really was? An innocent coincidence? Or something that justified getting out of those woods as quickly as possible? Let me know your theories in the comments. And while you're doing that, we dive into this next clip that was shared by the YouTube channel Creepy Outdoors. It shows a solo trip into a national park that slowly shifts from peaceful to deeply unsettling. The creator went out alone, planning nothing more than a quiet stretch of time in the forest. No rush, no destination. Just walking, exploring, and eventually setting up a small camp. Early on, everything feels calm. He even points out what looks like a perfect spot to start a fire. Dry ground, some cover from the wind, and enough space to work safely. As he continues moving through the forest, he comments on the surroundings. Strange plants, muddy ground, the kind of environment that feels untouched and remote. He talks casually about making a fire and settling in for the night. At that point, There's no sense of urgency, just the quiet confidence of someone comfortable being outdoors. But that tone doesn't last. A loud crack echoed from somewhere in the distance.
I'm gonna go under this. What the fuck? Hello? Gotta make a fire. I feel a lot better when I got a fire going. What the hell is that? This is a decent spot. I'm gonna go gather some wood. I'm gonna make a little fire, have a nice beer. I heard something cracking in the woods. Now, if you live in Canada, when you hear something cracking, a branch cracking, it doesn't usually mean a small animal. It's usually a deer, a bear, anything of that sort. So it should never be taken lightly when you hear a branch breaking.
He tries to shake it off and focuses on a practical task, starting a fire. The ground is soaked from days of rain, and everything around him is wet. Still, he calmly explains his process, using birch bark as a reliable fire starter even in damp conditions. It's clear he knows what he's doing. The fire eventually catches, and for a moment, the tension eases. There's comfort in the flames. Light, heat, a sense of control, but the sounds return.
Yes. What was that? Hello? I'm not afraid of this fire spreading because there's wetness everywhere. I'm just gonna do a 360 around camp because... Hello?
More cracking. Closer this time. Enough to make him stop mid-sentence and scan the tree line. He calls out instinctively, half to identify an animal, half to make his presence known. There's no response. Just silence. And that silence feels heavier than the noise. What unsettles him most isn't the idea of wildlife. In fact, he admits he almost hopes it's an animal. Because the alternative, that someone else might be nearby, watching his camp, feels far worse. An animal behaves predictably. A person doesn't. He moves around his camp, checking the perimeter while keeping the fire going. He explains that a larger fire can act as a deterrent, especially if a curious animal is nearby. Still, his voice carries a different tone now, more cautious, more measured.
Hello? What the fuck is going on? Crap. Hello? I better get some more branches. I don't like what I'm hearing.
He reacts instantly, grabbing more branches and feeding the fire, clearly uneasy. He admits that if the sounds continue, he may not stay much longer. The forest hasn't done anything obvious, but it doesn't need to. The feeling alone is enough.
If I keep hearing those noises, I don't know how long I'll stay. I want to think the best case scenario that it's a curious deer, but you never know.
Later, as things finally quiet down, he reflects on how he stays calm in moments like this. He talks about managing fear, shutting down imagination, and focusing on what's directly in front of you. Thinking only in worst-case scenarios, he explains, is how people panic. And panic leads to mistakes. After about 20 minutes without hearing anything else, he decides to relax slightly. The fire still burns. The woods remain quiet. Whatever caused the sounds never reveals itself. And that's what makes the experience linger. Nothing happens. No figure steps into view. No animal appears. No explanation is given. Just the persistent knowledge that something heavy was moving through the forest while he was alone, and that he never found out what it was. Sometimes, that's all it takes to turn a peaceful night in nature into something you'll remember long after the fire goes out. Now that was all for today, folks. If you enjoyed these horrifying clips, click to see more on the video on screen.